As of Monday, February 14th of 2022, Justin Trudeau enacted the Emergency Act, effectively putting Canada under a state of martial law. Now, why was this deployed? Was there some form of terrorism that happened recently? No, actually, they're using it to fight the Freedom Convoy. That's right. They are using the Emergency Act to stop people who are peacefully protesting, wanting to get their rights back. We certainly do live in interesting times. I think it just goes to show you just how truly powerful peaceful protest actually is, because governments have a hard time dealing with it. If they resort to violence, it makes the government look bad. So instead, they resort to extreme measures without getting violent. In this case, they're going after people's bank accounts.
The government is issuing an order with immediate effect under the Emergencies Act, authorizing Canadian financial institutions to temporarily cease providing financial services where the institution suspects that an account is being used to further the illegal blockades and occupations.
Note how the language has changed. They're now calling the Freedom Convoy an illegal blockade.
This order covers both personal and corporate accounts. Third, we are directing Canadian financial institutions to review their relationships with anyone involved in the illegal blockades and report to the RCMP or CSIS.
Now, if these measures were used against an organization such as BLM back in 2020 during the summer of mostly peaceful but fiery protests, this stuff would be called out for what it was: totalitarian, authoritarian, a government overreach. But yet, silence from the mainstream media.
As of today, a bank or other financial service provider will be able to immediately freeze or suspend an account without a court order.
This is the frightening part. If you are suspected of being a part of the Freedom Convoy, a bank has the right to freeze your account without repercussions.
In doing so, they will be protected against civil liability for actions taken in good faith.
Well, I guess that all depends on what your definition of good faith is.
Federal government institutions will have a new broad authority to share relevant information with banks and other financial service providers,
such as your credit card company,
to ensure that we can all work together to put a stop to the funding of these illegal blockades.
So I bet you're asking yourself, how did they get this information to where they can start locking people's accounts down? Well, that's easy. GiveSendGo a couple days ago was hacked by this lunatic.
Yes, I doxed the truckers. I did it. It was me. I hacked GiveSendGo, baby. And I do it again. I do it 100 times. I did it. I did it. Come at me. What are you going to do? What are you going to do to me, huh?
Now, this guy live on TikTok admitted to committing a crime. Why aren't the feds banging down his door arresting him? Unless he was doing this for the government and is getting a free pass. Now, that's pure speculation on my part, but it does make one wonder.
I hacked Epic Hosting! I hacked Parler! I hacked Gab! I hacked Truth Social! I hacked Go! GiveSendGo! I don't care!
Have you noticed a pattern yet?
You can literally put my name into the news tab on Google, and you can find everything I've done. I am literally in every mainstream media publication for the things that I do. I'm not an unknown actor. I'm literally a famous fucking cyber terrorist.
So I got questions. Why is this self-proclaimed cyber fucking terrorist not getting the Kevin Mitnick treatment? And if you don't know who Kevin Mitnick is, he was a famous hacker who was arrested in 1994 and held without trial till 1999, where eventually he pled guilty. Mainly because they were afraid that this guy could whistle nuclear launch codes into a phone and start World War III. But yet, here we have a guy admitting on TikTok, admitting his crimes, and nothing is happening. It really does make one wonder what the hell is going on here. And to top it all off, we now have the Department of Homeland Security saying that misinformation is a terror threat. Now, this memo is coming from dhs.gov, and it was issued on February 7th of 2022. Summary of terrorism threat to the U.S. homeland. The United States remains in a heightened threat environment fueled by several factors, including an online environment filled with false or misleading narratives and conspiracy theories, and other forms of dis, and malinformation, MDM, introduced and or amplified by foreign and domestic threat actors. Who is the arbiter of misinformation? That's the thing that's so worrying about this, is that you could actually have the truth being told, but yet, because it goes against the narrative that is being pushed by the government and the mainstream media, it is deemed malinformation, and therefore is a terroristic threat. So what exactly are the repercussions of this? Because, if they start labeling this terrorism, they're going to start freaking throwing people in the gitmo for it. These threat actors seek to exacerbate social frictions, to sow discord, and undermine public trust in government institutions, to encourage unrest, which could potentially inspire acts of violence. I have to ask, where the hell were you guys back in 2020 when you had people literally trying to burn cities down, occupying blocks in Seattle, calling it an autonomous zone? Seriously, now, of all times, now there's a problem. Mass casualty attacks and other acts of targeted violence conducted by lone offenders and small groups acting in furtherance of ideological beliefs and or personal grievances pose an ongoing threat to the nation. I am seriously at a loss for words here, because I have no idea what they're planning on doing with this, right? I mean, are we talking about you going after people that are saying that they're opposed to mandates or that they don't trust the government, but yet people burning down cities get a free freaking pass? These people didn't get tried. Nobody was arrested. These people were bailed out by the current administration. But yet, this could be used at my trial for being a terrorist. This video, because I'm calling this garbage out. It's freaking maddening. While the conditions underlying the heightened threat landscape have not significantly changed over the last year, the convergence of the following factors has increased volatility, unpredictability, and complexity of the threat environment. 1. The proliferation of false or misleading narratives, which sow discord or undermine public trust in U.S. government institutions. 2. Continued calls for violence directed at U.S. critical infrastructure. I would like to point out that calls for violence is not protected by the First Amendment, but criticizing the government is. Soft targets and mass gatherings, faith-based institutions such as churches, synagogues, and mosques, institutions of higher education, racial and religious minorities, government facilities and personnel, including law enforcement and the military, the media, and perceived ideological opponents. And 3, calls by foreign terrorist organizations for attacks on the United States based on recent events. I know this is probably going to be kind of a no-brainer statement, but it certainly feels like the policies that we're seeing these days are trying to make us a lot more like China. Yeah. Here's an example.
Even with Sun TV watching for any slip, he was asked which country he most admired and referred to China.
There's a level of admiration I actually have for China, because their basic dictatorship is allowing them to actually turn their economy around on a dime and say we need to go green as fast as we need to start, investing in solar. I mean, there is a flexibility that I know Stephen Harper must dream about of having a dictatorship that he could do everything he wanted. That I find quite interesting.
Now, the counterpoint to that is that you could say that maybe Trudeau was joking. I don't think he was, considering what we've seen over the last few weeks in Canada. I think he was very serious about China. And we need to be prepared here in the US for the exact same measures to be used against us. Just look at what the Department of Homeland Security is saying about misinformation. And people, I don't know how crazy things are going to get here. I hope to God things are just going to be business as usual, but you never know when we might enter into some form of crisis like we're seeing in Canada. And that's the reason why you need to prep. Make sure you have food and water on hand just in case things get crazy, and slowly build up that supply to 3 months if possible. Make sure that you have a means to defend yourself, a firearm, ammunition for that firearm, training, all sorts of things that you need to think about. I know that Unsafe Space is not a prepping channel. There's tons of good prepping channels out there to talk about this stuff, but it's something that you need to think about. This is Ian signing off.
Thanks for sticking around until the end. If you're new to Unsafe Space, check out our deep content library that includes discussions with everyone from James Lindsay to Brett Weinstein. And please consider helping to fund our work by visiting unsafespace.com/donate. You can find us on a variety of social media platforms, and you can find a community of like-minded individuals on our Unsafe Space Discord server, which is open to financial supporters at any level. We hope to see you there.
Warning. This is an unsafe space. Dangerous ideas have been detected. The content of this production has not been approved by Neil Young. Please consider canceling the responsible parties. Here's a list. Do you know what's fascist? When truckers refuse to deliver products to the ruling class. That's what the dictionary says. I swear. The continued war on drugs will require the distribution of free crack pipes. If you think about it, no one should be allowed to express opinions. But don't. Think about it, I mean. That's not your job. Thinking has been scientifically proven to be less efficient than compliance. Science, scientific, and scientifically are registered trademarks of the World Economic Forum. Unauthorized use is prohibited. Computer voice courtesy. Never mind, that last line is fake news. Please disregard it and return to your safe space immediately. There will be cake.